All right. We are live. This is admittedly my third test live. I did stream for 30 minutes without audio yesterday, and I'm just trying to not repeat that mistake. So let's get into it. I just had a meeting about Reflo, and it is actually my first meeting where we really talked about the app comprehensively since I hired on 2 years ago. So it was really interesting. And the reason why it's our first meeting where we're really talking about Reflo specifically is because for the past 2 years, the app's been crashing. Let's talk about it. So Reflo was first launched as Snap AR in 2017, 6 years ago. And the idea was to be one of the first to market for augmented reality. So my bosses wanted to figure out a cool way to put AR content in your pocket and find a way to integrate it into like a lifestyle that would be usable. So something that is like a continual learning curve for probably a lot of people in the workspace, and specifically for us, is there is a generation gap between me, the person who is marketing the product, and my bosses, the people who are developing it. And so it was really interesting because I have always kind of heard about Reflo and certainly seen all the marketing content and understood it, but not fully understood it. And when I approach it and think through the user affordances I would be looking for, there are a lot of chat rate. What's that mean? Do we have chatters? When I think through what user affordances I would want, we don't have them. They're not implemented actually. And I'll get to that later because the whole meeting I kind of sat through and there were two big questions that were things that I would hope the app could do, and the app can't do it. And there's good reason for that. And so I think talking through that is probably really good and will be really helpful. So for starters, I have two bosses that have kids, and I am a Gen Z and I don't have kids. But they were talking through part of the novelty of creating this app was the idea of, oh, I have these kids and they're growing up and they grow up so fast, and my parents live elsewhere. So finding a way to put or give the experience of putting the kid in the room with the grandparent. And that was kind of the basis that they ran with. So the first theme they developed was the hologram theme, which I will show you. What's funny though is I just mentioned the generation gap between my bosses and I, and usually when we talk through it, it's like, well, because I'm so young, and I'm not so young. I don't know. It's I'm on the younger end of the generation gap, and so I don't know. I know about the hip and happening TikToks or whatever, but I like actually cannot demo the app right now because I don't use iCloud, and they are both leaps and bounds ahead of me in terms of their technology usage and how they know what they know how to do and how they use it and how it's implemented in their lives. And so I was going to get extra iCloud storage before streaming, but I opted not to. And I thought I would just tell y'all about the fact that that is one area where they are way ahead of me. One of many, to be clear. But so I have this little chicken. Her name is Bucluck because she's boucle, which is what this little fuzzy fabric is. And she's a chicken, so cluck, duh. And I was going to make reflows with her, but my iCloud storage is full. And the reason actually that is a big obstacle is because There's like, they don't use a database. It uses your own cloud data, which obviously I don't fully understand that. But that is the verbiage they used, and I'm going to trust that someone out there is watching and that makes sense to someone. But that is something that stuck out to me as a generational thing too, though. So they were talking through the ideal user, or the intended user at that point was their parents. So grandparent as a demographic is a target audience. Well, that was a moment where I saw some overlap between me and grandparent demographic, because I don't know. I would be curious to know how many Gen Zers use iCloud and have everything back uploaded to the iCloud. And you know what? Maybe they all do, and maybe I'm way, way behind. And that probably is possible. That probably is true. But I think, I guess, here's what I mean. I clicked through the error that told me that the issue was my iCloud data. I clicked through it pretty quick, which I think probably a lot of Gen Zers like myself would do. And I also think that the grandparent demographic will do the same. Or it's like kind of harder to go and visit your settings and work through all that. Things get really complicated. And so figuring out a succinct pop-up for stuff like that is important. Which I don't know that they don't have one right now. I think I just clicked through it because I was on live stream and I was hasty. But so yeah, that's something we talked through. It was funny at one point though. They were talking to me about how they had developed this, and the idea was to like unlock the magic of being able to put the grandparent in the same room virtually with the grandkid. But he was telling me, one of my bosses was telling me, he like basically had to like fly out to visit his parent to explain how the app actually worked. So that's something that I think they worked through too in the early stages of development and fine-tuning it. So now I'm going to work through the notes a little bit more, be a bit more intentional of hitting all of these different things we discussed. So the mirror theme is the most recent theme. We've got 6 now. Let's pull it up. So we've got Magic Mirror, Hollowbot, Halloween, Birthday, Unicorn, Beach, and Hollow. And this Hollow was the first one. And basically you have to take a picture or a video, and you have to fit yourself in what they call the coffin, which is like this little avatar shape, right? And it puts you, what you've just filmed, in the thing. You, or let's say your kid. So my kid, it's going to put my kid in the avatar shape. We're going to shoot a little video of my kid doing something exceptionally cute and so fun and so true to them. And then the person is going to receive the message, and it is going to be in augmented reality form and like put in the room with the person. Skipping ahead in my notes, because that was something that stood out to me. They try to do some of the, what is it called? Like the positioning behind the scenes. So while you are loading the app and everything, they're trying to expedite the process, and it's doing the area scan in the background, so that you don't have to like wait forever before you open the message. Because again, it's like that's not necessarily going to be something that any user is going to want to sit around and wait for and like do the polygon scanning and all that. So one thing about Reflo is that they do the area scan in the background, and that is fantastic. Yeah, it was like actually really sweet. They were talking, so over the course of the past 6 years since launch, like 6 years is a long time, especially when you have kids and your kids are growing up. Like like 6 years of growing up, of having a kid and it growing up, them growing up is like remarkable. And they were telling me how like sometimes they'll open up like the old videos they have shot in Snap AR of like their youngest singing a nursery rhyme or something that they had like sent to their parents, and like now here it is 6 years later and it's like, oh my gosh, my kid is so grown up. So like things like that were cool to hear about because it helped me orient myself to the target audience or the intended use and see how special that is. So I really enjoyed that. So actually let's talk about some of the obstacles though, because it's kind of a big deal that for 2 years this app had been crashing. And the reason for that is because they developed it when AR was so new. So one of the issues with developing an app, because you want to be kind of first to market for this feature and find a cool spin on it and roll it out, is that they were developing the app using like a platform, I think, like a platform called Unity, which you'll see if you launch the app, the little Unity logo comes up. And it was using a beta plugin for augmented reality. So as augmented reality grew and developed, basically the plugin we were using became obsolete. They redid it, they updated it. And so then naturally our app crashed. So that's another obstacle, I think, of being like sort of an indie app development company, is like you're always having to do other things. There's a lot of projects and projects get kind of spread thin. And so if you're having an issue, like you're trying to be first to market because you want to get the ball rolling and gain traction, right? Because there's the pressure to do so in indie development. Well, then you're already spread thin, and then a new plugin comes and makes your app obsolete. So that was a huge obstacle. Third-party camera integration plugin. Okay, so then there was another thing. We were using a third-party camera integration plugin. And I think that is separate from the issue we were having with the Unity beta plugin. So that was causing it to crash like literally every time. So I think when they switched, it just became more buggy from my understanding. So the beta plugin for AR, like once that stopped being the primary AR plugin at Unity, I think things got buggy, but it was still kind of working. But then that third-party camera integration kind of just made everything flop. So they were telling me that like a huge lesson learned from that process was to do everything as much as you can on your own. So try not to rely on third-party plugins in development. Another huge thing. So 3 years ago, they rebranded. So it had been Snap AR, and they realized, I think, that having AR in the name made it hard to distinguish from other apps. And I think they realized, like, they rolled it out. It was called Snap AR. They were trying to be first to market for augmented reality and, like, be in the early stages of that. And kind of things grew past that, and they needed more unique branding. And so we rebranded to Reflo, which is way more fun to say, if you ask me. So that's a slay. And then in addition to that, I think they were listening to users, recognizing the affordances they wanted to implement for their own use cases, and added the selfie camera. So initially, which this was crazy to me, absolutely bananas, because I cannot tell you how much I use these cameras. And it, again, though, this really struck me. I don't have kids. So if I'm using my my camera like this, like it's for friends, it's for a concert, it's for pets, right? And I'm like probably not going to, well, do y'all want to see my pet? Can I give Dennis Moo Moo Wee Wee a shout out? That's his name. This is technically my parents' dog, but he is the light of my little world, and he's so cutesy. Look at him. He matches my freak so well. We love him. But so like that's kind of going to be my use for the app, but I don't really have any need to send anyone a hologram Dennis. My parents would probably beg to differ though, because I spam them with pictures of their own dog all day, all night. But yeah, like having the kid do something fun and making it a hologram, I definitely see the appeal. And what was I? Oh, but eventually you realize, hey, wait, we need a selfie camera. So they added in a theme that uses the selfie camera, and that is the mirror theme. And I think there's one other that uses it, which I'm going to look right now. Yeah, hearing about this. Okay, so Holobot and Magic Mirror both use both cameras, and they switch between the views so that you can kind of see, which is perfect. It's also kind of funny. Let me see if I can find this picture. My contact picture in my dad's phone. It probably is like the earliest image if I scroll back. When I got my very first phone, I was at a friend's house that weekend or something, and I put my hair in little Leia buns. And so the first thing I ever sent to my dad with my new phone was like a little video, and it looks like it's like shot on a toaster oven. It's like such bad quality. But I have my little Leia buns in, and I sent a little like, help me Obi-Wan Kenobi video to my dad because he's a big Star Wars fan. And so for like 15 years now, that has been my contact photo on my dad's phone, and I'm not finding it. But if we had Reflo at the time, that would have been literally perfect. I could have sent him a little Holobot video. So in an alternate reality, that world exists, and that is the contact photo in my dad's phone, but not this one. If only. But yeah, so they added the selfie mode a year or so after release. So it wasn't too long that it was sitting around without selfie mode. They learned pretty quick that it's kind of hard and weird to like film and set up your camera back facing and like try and take a video to make a Snap AR with. So yeah. And then a month ago, so now we're getting pretty close. So a month ago, and the speculation is that it was with the release of the Vision Pro. There was an uptick in downloads. We started getting like 500 downloads a month. One of our other theories about why that was is because it was crashing. It would just launch and crash and launch and crash. And so we thought maybe there was an uptick in downloads because people were downloading it. It was crashing. They were going, what the heck? Deleting it, re-downloading it, see if that would fix it. But we hadn't bug fixed it yet. So, yeah, basically a month or so ago, they overhauled the whole system, kind of redid everything, and now it works. Now it works for everyone who has iCloud storage. Which, like, I'm pretty sure is probably everyone but me. And I'm so deeply sorry about that. And I will fix that about myself. But yeah. Working through, seeing if there's any notes that I'm missing. Oh, okay. Some fun Easter eggs we've got. The Holobot. The Holobot, oh, I can't demo this, but again, I'll show you the thumbnail. So the Holobot is the one that's most Star Wars-y. It's not Star Wars-y at all, though. If Lucasfilm is asking, Disney, Lucasfilm. It's not Star Wars-y at all, actually, and, but it's cool. So you can go up to the robot and smash it. So that's like a fun little Easter egg. If you download the app and want to play around with it, you'll like walk up to it, and like if you hit it with your phone, you will feel it, and you can smash the robot. Okay. Little song for you, because I know everyone wants to hear me sing. I'm just being stupid and talking to myself at this point. It's like kind of hard to read through your notes and talk. But I think I have made it through most of the key points. Okay, let's actually talk about the two things that I made reference to that are things that strike me as what I would want to use the app for, but I cannot. So I asked immediately, hey, is there a way to save it? Like the messages that I send, can I save them down to my photo library? And the answer is no. And then can I import a pic/video? And the answer is no. So if you go and you're using some sort of feature in TikTok, they have like these AR filter features, and you can just sort of throw in a picture from your camera library and do that. Well, that's kind of not what the app is about. The app is about capturing live the content and then putting it into AR. And then is there a way to save it? No, and I assume that is because this is less for content creation and more for creating those moments. So where we're talking about like having the magic of, and this was such a cool part of the meeting too, is my boss was telling me about like visiting his parent and opening up the message and like how crazy it was to then like see this like hologram version of his daughter like there in his mom's living room or kitchen and like getting to share that moment and creating that moment virtually. So that is ultimately what this is all built for. And of course, now with so many new developments in iOS, you can screen record. So kind of not even that big of a deal that you can't download it. So I will certainly be creating marketing content by recording stuff and then screen recording stuff. So I think that probably is the bulk of the notes from the Reflo meeting. I didn't actually type anything up, so I'm going to do that now. But I hope you enjoyed watching and gaining some insight into the growth and development of Reflo and Snap AR. And that's all I've got for you today. Have a great Wednesday. Wow, I didn't realize it was Wednesday already. Okay, bye.